Welcome to the It's Time to Hunt podcast. I am Field Hudnall, and sitting here with me is my brother Clay Hudnall.
Hey, hey.
And today we're going to be your host. So basically, what this is one of our very first podcast recordings. And this podcast is actually a fairly short one, and it's strictly information. We were just recently at the 2019 NWTF National Convention in Nashville, Tennessee, and we had a chance to sit down with Nick Charney, who is the co-founder of Apex Ammunition. That was a pretty cool conversation.
Oh, man, it was incredible. The wealth of knowledge that Nick has, because I just shotgun shell. But man, when he starts breaking it down,
Air Force engineer,
it makes you think, man.
Yeah. So we recorded this at the NWTF convention, and we're going to play that here shortly. But just a little bit of background information. Nick is co-founder in a company called Apex Ammunition. You may or may not have heard of them. They hand load tungsten turkey loads, and also they're getting into waterfowl loads. And the tungsten that they're using, tungsten's been around for a while, but this particular type of tungsten is a higher density tungsten, commercially known as TSS, or Tungsten Super Shot. And I had very little knowledge. I thought tungsten was tungsten.
Me too.
And the way Nick delivers this information, get your notepads out because it's a lot of technical information very quickly. We didn't mean to get so much information crammed into one little window, but we didn't realize that at the NWTF convention, once the show actually shuts down,
they kick us out.
Vendors, we literally had a half hour to shut the booths down and get out. And we'll be interrupted a couple times from announcements, them giving us 10-minute warnings, 20-minute warnings. So we're trying to do this podcast before they kick us out. So it is a lot of information, very quick. But I think it's great information if you have questions about Apex or Tungsten Super Shot commercially sold ammunition.
Or just curious about if you've heard about it and don't know anything about it. Like Nick, he explains it. And for some of you turkey hunters, you may change your shotgun. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to try something different.
We definitely have a mixture of shells that we're going to try this year because we heard a lot of crazy rumors about TSS and Apex, especially from our good friend Mike Ponder at Indian Creek Choke Tubes.
Mm-hmm.
To hear this guy talk about it, it was literally like the reinvention of the wheel. He was blown away at what they were getting out of their tubes with this particular shell.
Correct.
And you're going to hear the term, the 20 is the new 12. So sit back and listen and understand why the 20 is now the new 12. This is Nick Charney with Apex Ammunition. Enjoy. All right. So, Clay, we've finally been able to lock down Nick at Apex Ammunition because for the last 2 days you pretty much haven't been able to get to their booth. So, Nick.
Jammed up.
We're going to get to the point on why is that. Why is the Apex booth clogging up all the other aisles of people waiting to receive the product that you all have? So first off, just introduce yourself and where you're from and a little bit of background information about who you are and what you do.
Sure. Well, I'd like to think the line's jacked up because we got poor internet connection and can't process orders, so it seems fake. No, I'm Nick Charney. I'm one of the co-founders of Apex Ammunition. So we're based out of East Central Mississippi, a small town, Columbus, about 8 miles from the Alabama border. We got started there about 2-3 years ago, and we've been there ever since.
All right, so explain to us. So I'm sure there's some listeners on here that have already heard about Apex. There's probably people on here who's heard about Apex and question the authenticity of it because of the rumors, and it basically defies everything that shotgunners and turkey hunters have ever really relied on for turkey hunting. And what I mean by that is y'all have literally you've raised the bar. Tell us a little bit about Apex and what it is.
Well, we specialize in super high density tungsten, also known as commercially Tungsten Super Shot. That's kind of the name it's been given around the industry. So it's been around for a while. but it was kind of a undergrounded, hand-loaded market where you had to build it yourself, and no one built it. And me and a couple of my partners, Jared, Jason, we were on a duck hunt, and we were hunting Oklahoma public land. And I loaded up a couple of waterfowl shells, and I brought them down there, and we had a couple birds come in, and everybody leans up from the layout blind, and 9 volleys go off, and next thing you know, 2 birds fall, and then that third one's starting to get away, and I just leaned up and get them, and I'm like, see guys, the stuff I've been bragging about to them, and they didn't get to see it, and they finally got to see it in action. So we were hunting this small public land called Hackberry Flats, God, Lawton, Oklahoma. But anyways, so they finally see it, and I said, guys, this stuff is awesome for turkey. And I said, no one's loading this. I said, no one's brought it to market yet. And I said, I fully believe in it. You guys saw it. And we just sitting down one night drinking a few beers, and a month later we had our FFL. And a month after that we were selling online. And we just been building the train as we go along. We didn't really wait for anything to kind of come to fruition. We just said we'll build the train as we go along, and if we have any problems, we'll fix them as we go.
Right, right.
That's cool.
So, obviously, listeners, they can't visually see what we're, we can't hold up a pattern right now, but talk a little bit about TSS and how it's changed the game and, the turkey industry as far as, and tell me your side of it, because I'm going to tell you my side of it is the type of hype that I heard before I ever met you. But just talk a little bit about what it is and how has it changed the game in turkey hunting.
It's what I try to tell people to wrap their head around it, because the most skepticism we get is number 9 can't kill a turkey. I've lost him when 6s. Lead's always been king, because that's what it is. Unless you have a non-toxic ban, lead's been king, because it's affordable, it's easy to make, but kind of the same thing for waterfowl is back in the day when we were allowed to shoot lead, we shot lead number 6s. Is the reason we shoot number 4 steel now, because of the difference. You lose the density. To make up for that, you make a larger pellet to get the mass back. And when you get the mass back, you get the quote-unquote knockdown power back, or the kinetic energy, or the momentum if you look at it. So with TSS, you just take that standard between steel and lead and you amplify it. So instead of going from 11 grams, 11.34 grams per cubic centimeter with lead, you're going all the way up to 18.1 grams per cubic centimeter density. So instead of messing around with 5s and 6 or 7 lead, you're going up 55% more dense than lead ever will be, and you can drop the pellet size to 9.5 is the smallest we offer. I think we're looking at some 10s even for next year, but 9.5s, 9s, 7.5s, 8s. We've played with 8.5s. And a lot of our skepticism is, well, do you make it in 6s and 5s? And unfortunately, no, because it defeats the purpose. When you increase the density so much, you actually lose pellets per ounce, because your mass is so great that you start losing your pattern counts.
Right.
And you actually have less pellets than a less dense material.
There's more empty space in your shell with larger shot than with smaller shot, correct?
And you put for example, one of our BBs, an actual BB size standard, is about 9 grams, or sorry, grains. Sorry, 9 grains weight. A steel BB pellet is hovering around like 4.5, 5. So you're looking at 8.5 to 9 grains difference. So when you try to get 2 ounces and one weighs 55% more than the other, you get less pellets per ounce. So it kind of defeats the purpose of it.
Right.
Gotcha.
That's why you drop the shot size, so you can get more pellets per ounce. And then the great thing about it is it's weird, right? Shotgunners have this blind belief that velocity is constant and gravity is negligible, which are two of the most don't understand it. You talk to a rifle hunter, they'll tell you windage, they'll tell you elevation, they'll tell you, the Coriolis effect they get over certain distances. Mm-hmm. But a smaller pellet is like sticking your hand out the window. You get less surface area acting upon that pellet surface area, less wind, you get less drop in velocity. And what people don't realize is that your standard average 1,500 feet per second steel load or something coming out is actually only hitting a target at about 600 feet per second. It sheds pretty much half its velocity by 30 to 40 yards.
Really, it loses that much?
Mm-hmm. And it's just wind resistant. And if you don't have the butt behind it, the mass behind it, it's like throwing a wiffle ball versus a baseball. We can both throw a wiffle ball 100 miles an hour out of our hand from a mound. Yeah. Which one's going to hit the catcher's glove harder, right?
Baseball.
Same size.
Right.
Density. That's the basic premise of it.
Gotcha.
So we started loading this stuff up for turkey, and you're looking at adding our 3.5-inch shell with number 9s. is toting. Right now, our number 9s are 362 pellets per ounce. So we're loading 2.5 ounces. You're loading up about 900 pellets in a shell. 900
pellets.
that equivalent to the knockdown power. They'll penetrate ballistics gel at 40 yards, the same as a number 4 lead will.
Right.
And we use ballistics gel to model tissue damage, right? Because,
Correct.
you know, if you want to know, can it penetrate a turkey's head? There you go. So we use common ballistics gel, just like the FBI does, to model damage, trauma, to see if it has effective killing power.
Right.
Wow.
It's interesting concept.
That's very cool.
What a time to be alive.
So now talk about where, you know, kind of like what I'm thinking right now is, you know, you're trying to compute everything you just threw at us. Tell us a little bit about some of the patterns because that's where it really, when you talk about in a 10-inch circle at certain ranges, the patterns that you all are getting, talk about that, because that, again, reason being is because a good friend of ours, Mike Ponder at Indian Creek, they can't keep 20-gauge tubes in stock because everyone who thought about
Because of this right here.
correct TSS, right,
Correct.
and Apex. So tell us just some of the patterns that you guys are getting that's changing the game.
And so why this stuff is so cool is with density, you can increase you can weigh more and take up less space. So in a 20 gauge, you look at your traditional competitor loads in lead, they're about 1 ounce and 1/8, ounce and 1/4, maybe 1 ounce and 3/8 at most, if you get lucky, because you just flat out can't put that much in there. Our premier flagship 20 gauge round is 1 ounce and 5/8. It is arguably carrying as much payload as some of our competitors' 12 gauge rounds out there. So when you can do that, you can increase. You're not losing any performance by dropping to a sub gauge, and a lot of the reasons these guys like sub gauges and a rising popularity, the 28 gauge, is because it weighs 4.5, 5 pounds loaded. It's not 8 pounds. And you say, well, 3 pounds ain't that much. Well, if you're a turkey hunter who hunts the hills and hollers of eastern Kentucky, 3 pounds, you will know the difference.
Absolutely.
Between going up and down, chasing them ridges, and or even if you're trucking through the swamps in the south, you know 3 pounds after a while. And it's not only that, it's lighter, it's more compact, and it's less recoil. So, but you're not sacrificing any performance. That's the gaining difference. And so our GT20 number 9 is our absolute number 1 seller. It's a 3-inch 20 gauge, 1 ounce and 5/8 in number 9 shot, which is 2.0 millimeter diameter ball. So all of our pellets are ball bearing tolerance. They're within 1/100th of an inch of each other. So they actually can be used for ball bearing. So when you pour them out, you can roll them all and there's not going to be any imperfections. And so what that is, consistent shot drops when you load, consistent patterns. Every shell is plus or minus 1 pellet, hand-built, measured out by hand.
Plus or minus 1 pellet.
Plus or minus 1 pellet, built out by hand.
900 pellets.
Plus or minus 1 pellet every 3.5-inch 12 gauge.
Everyone is hand
built.
loaded.
That's the other thing that,
Wow.
you know, it's interesting about your all's boxes is when you open that box up, there's initials and a date, I believe.
Yep. So there's every guy, if you actually get to stop by and see us here at the booth, here's the guys that we bring up. We don't bring sales reps. We don't bring not just our, quote unquote, what the industry calls it, promotional staff. We bring the guys that work with us, our team members, our guys that are in the shop loading it. We bring them up here. Why? Because when you want to talk to them and ask them about whether or not what's the performance or do you believe in it, they work for the company. And not just because they get a paycheck, because they believe in the company. They drove up 6 hours from East Central Mississippi to work a show to tell people about why they believe in what they believe. So on every box, when they open it, when they package it from the actual machine, or when they get done building it, they sign and date the individual box. So it's not a lot number, it's a production date. And then they initial it knowing that, this is the American that built your shell.
And they might have to answer for it if it's not right.
And absolutely do. So, and if we ever have any series of quality control issues, we can track it back to an actual individual person, not just a date.
Right.
And so that allows you to kind of make sure that your folks you're honest, they're accountable. Everybody goes to work, gets tired. They kind of slack sometimes, and you just want to be able to, when it comes to this type of sensitive, critical stuff, you want to make sure that everything is, like I said, plus or minus 1 pellet and plus or minus 0.1 of a grain of powder.
Right. That's one thing I do really, love about your all's model is because Clay and I, we build custom duck and goose calls. It's a high-end call that comes with a premium price, has a premium performance. But when you come to, and it's a lot of the call makers here. So if we didn't mention before, we're at the NWTF convention here in Nashville. We welcome our customers to come visit us every year, because if we sell you a product, we want to hear about the next year. We're not saying, well, man, I hope that person doesn't come back because I don't believe in the product. I mean, we truly believe in the product, because if you didn't like it, we're going to have to answer for it, because we're here working the booth. Hang on. We got us announcement.
30 more minutes.
Oh, until they shut it down?
Gotta be out.
Yeah, we'll be done by then.
At 9 a.m. It's going to give you 30 more minutes tonight to be able to restock.
So what I really appreciate is you all as a shell company, the turkey realm, the waterfowl realm has never seen that. A shell company with, you're one of the co-founders, you're the owner, you load the shell. What do you mean you load the shell? You're not a rep? No, that's my initials on the box.
Right.
And we're going to be here every year answering for what we're selling you, because we believe in the product that much. And it's like here at the NWTF, it's no difference than, you can walk around this place. There's custom call makers. There's box calls that go for $200, $300, $400 here, if not more. I mean, it's a location of premium products with the people that stand behind it, and you all as a shell company, it's, people are interested, even if they're kind of skeptical. Like, what do you mean? What is this? I don't really understand.
Not heard of this stuff.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
Right.
Because I think it's cool, because even if, as me as an owner, and Field thinks the same way, if there's failure, if our customer has failure, I want him to look me in the eyes and be like, this duck or goose call did not perform. Man, how can I fix that? When you're hand loading every shell, like, that guy's taking pride. So if something goes wrong, I'm assuming that guy would be like, hey, what happened?
We actually had an issue with that today. We had a customer. So last year we'd found we had a bad batch of powder in our 20 gauge, and it wasn't giving the full light on it. And so we had issued a recall, sent every single customer through the email, hey, if you had it, even if you bought it through secondhand through somebody, you got it through a buddy, let us know through this date. We'll send you a prepaid shipping link. You send it back, we're going to send you brand new ones. And so that way we could kind of look and see what happened. We had a guy come today, said, yeah, you guys sent me a shipping label, I just never got around to it. And he didn't even have to finish the sentence. We tossed him said pick whatever 2 boxes you want to replace. Here you go. Gave them to him, took the other ones back. So, which is kind of unheard of in the industry standard. I mean, I've shot other stuff before we came about, so I can't say that I've shot us for my whole life. But, I've watched competitors where the wad gets stuck in a barrel and you're duck hunting and you're running to grab your buddy's gun before he racks off the next round, and next thing you know, his barrel's gone, and, primer misfires. And, these things just, at some level, they're built all by humans, and so there's going to be imperfection, right? There's going to be some type of error that, it just, I guess, Forrest Gump said it best. Shit happens.
Right. Exactly.
No matter how hard you try or all the processes you put in place, we're always striving for the best. But
100%.
At the end of the day, heck, we look at automakers. Name an automaker that doesn't about issue a recall about every year on some new line, and they've been in business for how long? So, these things just unfortunately happen as you're trying to push the envelope with designing new things, coming up with stuff that the industry or the consumer has never seen before. Just because you're the pioneer, you also get to uncover the problems that were never known before as well. So,
so touch on real quick. I currently have a box, but tell me about where I think it really sums up what y'all are doing. Turkey hunters can now comfortably go out and shoot a turkey with a 410.
We coined this phrase about a year ago that we thought was pretty interesting. We say 20 is the new 12. And that's kind of one of our catchphrases, that 20 is now the new 12, because, again, and firmly stand on this because I'm blind as a bat, we do not, as a company, promote long shots. And I anything beyond 45 yards, they all look like a blur. So I don't fly in the Air Force. Right. I'm an engineer. So we've had customers shoot them at well beyond distances that with a 20 gauge. And and it's not like they shoot them, and if you're a turkey hunter, the full tilt sprint that occurs afterwards where you're attempting to catch that bird that's kind of flopping away / getting away. And I mean, they're stone dead. And so we coined that phrase, 20 is the new 12, just because it really is. I mean, look at some of these patterns. You're putting up, our flagship 20 gauge is putting up 300 and usually 20-inch or 320 pellets in a 10-inch circle at 40 yards. There's 12 and 10 gauges that aren't doing that with less dense material. And so, you know, you look at our 28 gauge. It's, you know, you can comfortably, if you feel comfortable, it has the effectiveness to shoot well beyond 40 and even well beyond 50.
Right.
Our 410 is we've had customers in Tucumcari and we'll pattern it, and it's a 50-yard killing gun, a 410. You know,
That's so hard to
not
even
20 yards with
believe.
lead number 6s because you're trying to get the mass out of the lead. I mean, you're talking a 40 to 50-yard turkey gun, comfortably, consistently killing. And so, believe it or not, some of these, you know, the Academy, these yield is, you know, Academy carries this gun. Guys will go buy a $130 gun, send it off, get drilled and tapped, threaded for a choke. They're in a gun for $400 as a single shot 410, and it is a no kit 45-yard stone dead turkey gun, 8 days a week, twice on Sunday. Weighs about 3.5 pounds. Weighs about 3.5 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, that's awesome, man. I mean, it's
And impressive. That's very
that's
impressive.
very impressive. Yeah.
But I mean, you know, it's just something from us, you know, and me and my partners and our team that kind of did it. It was something better, you know, and we're always, I think as humans, are always looking for something better, whether it's a better car, better place to hunt, better ground to live on, better, you know, life for our family. We're always looking for something better. And I think that human instinct kind of drives us to find a better turkey show. And
So I know that you probably hear it 100 times a day, maybe not, but there are going to be people that say, with a premium product comes a premium price tag. But you summed it up the other day, exact. You literally threw out 3 examples that I never even really considered because one, I don't really go on outfitted hunts or anything, but you summed it up talking about the turkey, talking about the king eider, you know, it's still the cheapest part of the hunt. Kind of give me that when you hear, well, what do you mean this is the price?
so to
Give us that, because there will be people that say how much and
So
why.
with a premium product, you're right, with any premium product, whether it be, you know, the fine folks at Sitka Gear offering premium quality clothing, you know, their stuff, I firmly wear it. Why? Because it's just good gear.
It works.
It, no kidding, works. You know, I wear a lot of other things as well. I'm actually wearing a pair of these Gator Wader boots this year. They feel like tennis shoes. They just work. And I don't care what it is. If it's the best, I'm going to have it. And unfortunately, with the premium products does come a premium price. But kind of to explain that, you can get steel about $1 a pound. This stuff is about $45 a pound.
Right.
Wow.
So when you look at that exponential difference, lead, you know, the going rate, I think, you know, an average loader can probably go to like Midway USA, buy a 25-pound bag of lead for about $38. So, you know, about $1.50 for lead. This stuff is $45 a pound.
Right.
So you look at the astronomical cost difference, which is initially what makes it there. I mean, tungsten has never been cheap.
Right.
You look at our competitors that have been, you know, making tungsten-based products since the lead ban conception, and you know, it's never been as cheap as steel or lead. But you talk to the guys that shot lead back in the day, and when the first $10 box of steel come out, you thought it was a mind-blowing
Right.
price tag that waterfowl hunting was now dead.
Absolutely.
And so, with that being said, I guess my mentality is from a personal standpoint. You know, obviously not the company. I guess they'll kick us out here soon. My personal thing is, you know, I do go on some guided hunts just because it's nothing against public land. I really love public land, and I definitely hit those public land places after. But sometimes I'm just so on limited time. I go to these places because I don't want to buy a hotel, rent a car, things like that. I have the guide pick me up or whatever. But I spend a lot of money. You know, some of these turkey hunts, you go to places like Florida. The Osceola is a commodity, Your going rate for one bird is $2,700. That is a lot of money.
Yeah.
When I want to go down there, I'm not going down there wondering if my equipment is going to fail. I know it's not, and if it does, it just happens to be not my day.
Right.
You know, if what we talk about for our waterfowl lineup, a lot of our customers, our clientele, actually go to buy our products to go to Alaskan hunt king eiders. The going rate for a king eider hunt is $6,000. That's before airfare. That's before, and you can kill 2 birds.
Wow.
Are you going to really chance that on trying to shoot steel, bismuth, 13-gram tungsten, you know, 10-gram tungsten, or any other material, sintered tungsten-based product? To me, there'd be no way. I just couldn't do it. And then our kind of motto is, you know, I've been a waterfowl hunter. You don't have to pull it to the plug every time. You know, I mean, I know it's great and everybody loves to shoot, but, a place like Bayou Meta in Arkansas, you can carry 25 shells. If that's the case, I'm stacking the deck because I know sometimes I hope them, I'm not tree topping them mallards, but I only may get 1 or 2 groups coming in, and I don't want to be. I hate those texts. How many did y'all kill? Man, knocked down 10, got 7. I hate that because then that's 3 ducks that are going to eventually not make it.
Correct.
And it's just, if I can do that and then I bring out 3 more ducks, it's just almost just money. It's not even an option. I mean, I'm certainly not doing this to, hunting to make a living. I'm doing it because I love it.
Yeah.
And I ain't taking it with me when I go. So that's kind of.
Well, that's one thing we experience too on hunting big rivers is when you come up and a bunch of guys shoot a bunch of birds, especially when you're dealing with situations we've encountered this year is high current. You have to get on that duck as quick as possible. You cannot afford for that cripple to get more than 200 yards down. You have to continue, and Pete guys are unloading and unloading, firing more shells, trying to kill that cripple. If you shoot it with, which we shot, we won't get into this right now, but we shot a premium sample shell this year, and there were no cripples. You fire less shells. You save money.
And we just had to catch up to the depth.
All we had to do
because
is
of the
they're
current.
not going anywhere.
Yeah.
All you do is just go with the current, and we lost less ducks, and we had more dead ducks hit the water.
Correct.
Because of a premium shell that we will talk about in the future for waterfowl.
It's the part that does the killing. I mean, really, when you think of it, guys, it's my favorite is the purist. There's kind of a running deal on Facebook now. A guy he runs this thing called the Purist. But my favorite is back to the good old days, and you don't need that. And I'm like, you say that as you're wearing digitally printed camo, buying your brand new trucks with automatic transmissions. Like you've accepted technology in some form of your life, but this is where you're going to draw the line. Like it's not even a line; it's a jagged, whatever you want to call it.
Correct.
It's like shooting a recurve, but you're using a rangefinder.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Right.
Oh,
So,
man.
well, buddy, I think they're getting ready to kick us out.
They
I would
are,
love
man.
to continue to. Oh, hang on 1 second. So we set out at the booth. You have 2 samples. Where's the larger ones? Do you have the larger ones that really tell the difference?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I got some. I think I got them down here.
And again, it's
I think there's some number 4.
My brother,
steel.
he hasn't picked these up yet, and what it is it's a number 8 TSS and a number 4 steel. And these
That's
2
lead.
bottles, you got lead, steel, and then you got tungsten. And I know you can't see Clay's response, and when you hear it, you think it's going to be fake. But he has not picked these up yet. But
I'm trying to
go ahead
find
and,
that.
before they literally boot us out. So you got steel and TSS, the
Number
same
4s and number 8s.
Yep, the same volume or the same.
Oh my. That's. Dude, the weight difference is.
Somebody might have stole your other ones.
Yeah.
They could load.
Well, they probably stole about $1,000 worth of shot.
Right. Oh man, where was the gosh? That's the one I really
Yeah,
want.
I know.
You could do curls with. So that's
Just when you set them down.
Yeah.
yeah.
Listen to the thud. Oh my goodness.
That's lead and steel. God, I wish you had the tungsten.
I did.
You
I don't
almost
know.
need 2 hands to pick
Oh
it
my
up.
god.
I'm gonna see if I can.
That's-
They were organizing some stuff earlier, and I swore I had it, but
That's all right.
oh man,
We're
now
good. We're good.
it was 12. Yeah, so the size of this thing is it holds 12.5 pounds. So you can compare it to lead, you can compare it to steel, you can compare it to
And they are kicking us out.
different density tungsten. I guess they're kicking us
Yep,
out. Well,
all right.
to be continued.
Thanks, buddy.
Nick, we
we'll continue this.
appreciate it.
Anytime,
Appreciate it,
man.
brother.
Anytime.
Thank you so much.
Glad to have y'all.
Yes, sir.